Let's start with something many people experience but rarely question. You finish a meal, maybe something rich in carbohydrates, something sweet, something satisfying, and then, a short time later, your vision seems slightly off. Things look hazy. Words on a screen lose their sharpness. For a moment you might blink, rub your eyes, or assume it's fatigue. But what's actually happening inside the body at that moment is far more fascinating and potentially more significant than most people realize. You see, the human body is an extraordinarily integrated system. What happens in your bloodstream can influence how your eyes function within minutes. After you eat, particularly foods high in refined carbohydrates or sugars, your blood glucose levels rise. That's a normal physiological response. But when glucose rises quickly, the body must rapidly adjust. Insulin is released to move that sugar into your cells. During that brief metabolic shift, fluid balance within certain tissues changes, including within the lens of the eye. The lens of the eye is remarkably sensitive to these shifts. When glucose levels fluctuate, the lens can temporarily swell or change shape ever so slightly. That small physical adjustment alters how light is focused onto the retina, and the result is something you perceive immediately: blurred vision. It's not imagination. It's not simply fatigue. It's the visual system responding in real time to metabolic chemistry happening in your blood. Now here's where the deeper lesson emerges. Many of the signals our bodies send are subtle, almost whisper-like. A brief moment of blurred vision might seem trivial. But physiologically, it's evidence of a profound relationship between what we consume and how our body maintains equilibrium. In a sense, your eyes are acting like messengers from your metabolism. And this matters because modern diets, filled with rapidly absorbed sugars and refined carbohydrates, create dramatic swings in blood glucose that our bodies must constantly correct. Over time, repeated spikes and crashes don't just affect energy levels or weight. They can influence vascular health, nerve function, and yes, even vision. So when your vision blurs after eating, it may be temporary. It may pass in minutes. But it also raises a deeper question worth contemplating. If a single meal can momentarily change how clearly you see the world, imagine what years of dietary habits might be doing beneath the surface. And perhaps that realization should encourage us to look at our daily choices a little more carefully, because sometimes the body reveals its deepest truths through the smallest signals. Now, once you understand that blurred vision after eating can be connected to blood sugar fluctuations, the next question becomes more serious and more meaningful. What if that small, temporary disturbance in your vision isn't just a random event? What if it's the body attempting to communicate something important? The human organism has a remarkable way of signaling imbalance long before serious disease appears. The problem is that most of us are conditioned to ignore subtle warnings. We wait for pain, for a crisis, for something dramatic enough that it forces our attention. But biological systems rarely work that way. They whisper first. Blurred vision after meals can be one of those whispers. When this happens occasionally, it might simply reflect a large meal or a spike in blood sugar that the body quickly corrects. But when it becomes frequent, when it appears after many meals, when it becomes predictable, that's when it deserves closer attention, because repeated spikes in blood glucose may point toward insulin resistance, a condition where the body's cells gradually lose their sensitivity to insulin signal. And insulin resistance is not a small matter. It sits quietly at the root of several widespread health problems: prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome. Conditions that develop slowly, often invisibly, over years. By the time clear symptoms appear, the process has usually been underway for a long time. But the story doesn't end there. Blurred vision after eating can also be influenced by other factors that reflect how well or poorly the body is maintaining balance. Dehydration, for instance, can affect the fluid levels within the eye. Nutrient deficiencies, particularly in vitamins important for nerve and eye health, may also contribute to visual disturbances. Even chronic stress can play a role by disrupting hormonal systems that regulate blood sugar. And this is where the issue becomes not merely medical, but philosophical in a sense. Because what we're really talking about is attention. The willingness to notice what your body is telling you. To treat symptoms not merely as inconveniences to be suppressed, but as information. Your body is constantly adapting, constantly signaling, constantly trying to maintain stability in an unstable environment. And when a signal repeats itself, when blurred vision shows up again and again after meals, it's not something to dismiss casually. It's an invitation to become curious about what's happening beneath the surface. Because the earlier we listen to those quiet signals, the greater our ability to correct course. And the truth is simple but powerful: the body often whispers long before it begins to shout. So the final question naturally becomes this: when should you actually be concerned? Because not every symptom signals catastrophe, and it's important to approach these issues with clarity rather than unnecessary fear. The body is resilient. Temporary changes happen all the time. But the key lies in patterns. If blurred vision happens once in a while after a particularly heavy meal, especially one high in sugar or refined carbohydrates, the body may simply be responding to a temporary metabolic shift. In many cases, the vision returns to normal as blood sugar stabilizes. The system corrects itself, equilibrium is.